My name's Trent. I'm a chemist. This is my younger brother Troy. He's an icky biologist. And we are the Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds. Welcome to today's episode, folks, where we're going to talk about daily
sippers. Everybody needs a daily sipper.
And we need 4 or 5.
And we've got quite a lineup here. What do we have here? 7 bottles?
These are things that we find ourselves reaching for over and over and over again. Things that you just... Now, a good daily sipper, got to have a couple of things. First of all, got to be readily available. You can walk into any liquor store and find it, and you can find it relatively cheaply. I've set a cap of about $50 MSRP. We're going to use MSRP here on Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds. This is for 2 reasons. First of all, we're used to Pennsylvania prices. Pennsylvania liquor control state, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And as such, when Pennsylvania doesn't want it, we can't get it in the state. Like really, statewide. From Erie to Philly, you can't get it. But it does keep the prices low. And so most of the stuff that we can get pretty close to MSRP. That is an advantage. But these are what you need in a daily sipper. Something that you can pour for guests, that you know is going to taste pretty good, and you're not going to be sad if you have to go get more, because it's not like you have to outlay $100 to go do that. Daily sippers can't do that. For this reason, you're not going to see Buffalo Trace product on this daily sipper list.
Because we can't get them.
We just think they're hard to find.
We just can't get them.
Right, and in some markets, they're expensive. Probably more expensive than they should be.
Probably.
Right.
I think the goal with the daily sipper is something that A, of course, you enjoy, and B, again, is a reasonable price, and you can walk into any store in your area and grab a bottle.
Yep.
Like Trent said, from Erie to Philly. So I could be in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and probably find all 7 of these bottles. Or I could be in Center City, Philadelphia, and find all 7 of these bottles.
Yep, it's really not going to be hard to find, no matter what.
Trent's going to kick us off with number 1.
Four Roses Single Barrel. Four Roses Single Barrel, just a fantastic whiskey. Four Roses is owned by the Kieran Corporation, and I am, I think, a self-described Four Roses fanboy. I love me my Four Roses.
We are self-described Four Roses fanboys. This is a high rye bourbon. Now, that term has no strict definition.
Nope.
So what Trent and I consider high rye and what you consider high rye might be 2 vastly different things.
And that's okay. Maybe you don't like high rye bourbon.
Nothing wrong with that. But
right.
This is a true high rye. So what is the mash bill?
60% corn, 35% rye, 5% barley. Four Roses actually has 2 different mash bills. One of them is a lower rye mash bill. This is their higher rye mash bill. Four Roses actually does interesting stuff. Their master distiller, Brent Elliott, who, near as I can tell, is tantamount to a genius. I've recommended him for sainthood. The 2 mash bills and then 5 different yeast strains that give you 10 different recipes. And I'm sure the yeast strains are protected, lock and key by rabid Dobermans, right? You know, and the Four Roses Single Barrel is the OBSV recipe. The yeast strain is the V strain, and the B stands for the high rye mash bill, so 35% rye. Tantamount to all Four Roses. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of rye spice.
Four Roses
floral notes.
Yes, Four Roses profile. It's floral. It's almost perfumed.
And some people don't love that. Right? It goes too far for some people. I just pick it up. This is the bourbon that I was like, you know what, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. There's that bourbon for everybody. I hope you find yours. It wasn't one of the first 3 I bought. It was the 4th I bought. And I tasted it, and I'm like, oh, I could drink this every day of my life. And I don't quite do that, but after a tough day, you pour your favorite pour. This is what I'm pouring. Great, great, great bourbon. Locks in at 100 proof. It is somewhere around 8 years of age. For $45 MSRP, under $50. Go get yourself some Four Roses Single Barrel. Really, really great bourbon. Highly recommended. Can't recommend it enough. Troy, what you got?
I've got Knob Creek 9 Year.
Come KC9 for you.
KC9. This is a Jim Beam product. Knob Creek 9. Boy, it's tough to beat. As you can see from the level in this bottle, I reach for this fairly often, and when it's empty, I'm going to go get another one.
Well, it's like needing milk and eggs and
Precisely.
sugar.
Milk, eggs, half and half, and not free.
Not free nine. Right, yeah. Four Roses single barrel. I was recently in this position, this past week. I'm like, boy, I need some staples. Not milk and eggs, because who bakes? I mean bourbon that I drink every day. I needed some Four Roses single barrel. And of course I brought it home and had a pour because, who the heck doesn't do that?
We're not collecting stuff to sit on the shelves. We drink what
bourbon
we
is
buy.
for drinking.
Bourbon is for consuming and enjoying.
With
Absolutely.
friends and family.
Absolutely.
That's what it's there for.
So Knob Creek 9, incredible bottle. 100 proof, $35. Sometimes we can get them on sale for right around $31, $32. If you're really feeling squirrely, get the 1.75 liter. It's the best value out there. 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. Comes in at 100 proof and 9 years age stated.
Age stated, 9
For
years
9
old.
years. You're going to get a lot of those traditional Jim Beam notes off this. Nuttiness, toffee, dark, roasted notes. A little bit of rye spice. It's just a fantastic pour. Something you can pour for yourself after a long day. Something you can pour for a friend who may not be into bourbon.
Right. Gonna taste good no matter what.
If you're really feeling fun, you could put it in an old fashioned. We'll do cocktails later.
Yeah.
But you could.
I don't make a good cocktail. Troy does. One thing, we've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. Those of you just starting in bourbon, the best values in bourbon are the legacy distillery. You don't have to like it, but it's the facts. Knob Creek, a Jim Beam product. I'm not as big a Knob Creek fanboy as Troy is, but I am a big Jim Beam fanboy. I love Jim Beam.
We've got a heck of an episode coming up too. We're gonna fresh crack the
Two Beam
Booker's
products.
Reserve 2024 and the Little Book Chapter 8, The Path Not Taken.
The rye, a really good fresh crack episode.
So look
coming up.
out for that, and while you're looking, like and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends, because that really helps us out with the almighty algorithm.
Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of your Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerd. Yeah, no, Knob Creek 9, 9 years age stated for $35. Say it out loud, folks, so you believe it. Well, we're on a Jim Beam roll. We might as well just keep going.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
This is OGD 114. Again, I
kind of like that it has OG.
OG?
OGD. Like we abbreviate it OGD.
OGD 114. It does say Old Granddad. This is actually a picture of Basil Hayden, who was honored by his grandson in the making of the bourbon. Now, this is also a Jim Beam product. Jim Beam, part of the big whiskey multinational corporation called Beam Suntory. Jim Beam, based in Kentucky, makes lots and lots and lots of labels. One of them is OGD. OGD Bonded, which you might see later on in a bonded blind we're going to do, is just a great, great product. Jim Beam actually has 2 different bourbon mash bills. One of them, the Knob Creek mash bill, a little bit lower in rye. This is the higher rye mash bill from Jim Beam. 63% corn, 27% rye, only 10% malted barley. The malted barley is really just there because of some scientific things that we won't get into now. I make my students learn it, but that's not your problem. 114 proof. So, girlfriend, bring the seat a little.
There's some heat on this.
I think those out there could probably correctly describe us as proof hounds a little bit.
We are proof hounds.
Yes. So we will proof hound our way to 114 proof with the Jim Beam. Again, higher rye. 2 things I love about this. Love about this sip. First of all, you get the rye. Oh my God, it's there right away. Baking spices. Just, so good. And
snickerdoodle in a glass.
The proof comes in on the finish. The proof doesn't hit you until it's going down the gullet.
You get that Kentucky hug.
You get that Kentucky hug. Just a phenomenal pour. Up until like this week, believe it or not, we couldn't get this in Pennsylvania.
I was shocked.
Everybody in Pennsylvania had to go to either New Jersey or Maryland.
Correct.
or New York, whichever was closer.
Walked into
to,
the
to
store.
go get
yeah,
114.
Walked into the store closest. There were like 6 cases sitting on the floor. The angels sang.
Right.
Oh,
The harps.
I know the
yes,
harps played.
It was good.
It was pretty incredible. What's the
Unicorns
MSRP?
cried.
Did we talk about MSRP on
$35. Again,
$35.
4 to 5 years old, so it's not going to have as much age as some others. Again, not a super oaky bourbon. If you're really into oaky bourbons, might be more interested in something with a higher age statement, But can't go wrong with OTD. If you find yourself being a proof hound, you can go get yourself some OGD 14. Big believer in it. Again, Jim Beam product. We're on a Jim Beam roll. You've got another.
I've got another Jim Beam facing Jim Beam Black 7 year. This just came out not that long ago.
This year,
I think it was this year. It replaced what was Jim Beam Extra Age.
I think it was called Jim Beam Black.
Was it?
Right? But
That's
it wasn't.
Right.
And then when they redid it, boy, Jim Beam, you know what? They did it right. They didn't change the mash bill. They did 3 things. All of them were good. First of all, they gave it an age statement. Again, all of the best values in whiskey are from the legacy distributors. This is a Jim Beam product. Jim Beam Black, age stated at 7 years. $25. $25 MSRP. You don't get a 7-year bourbon for $25 anywhere. Anywhere, folks. Here you have one. Cannot recommend it enough. It drinks really easy. Troy.
Yeah, it's got enough of those oak notes. You get that classic Jim Beam profile.
Little peanuts.
Think of the ballpark when you were a kid and your dad would buy you those super salty peanuts in a bag. And you'd open that bag and
those
get
that were delicious.
Oh my gosh, they were good. You'd get that little hint of roasted peanut in your face, and you're cracking them just watching a ball game. That's what this is all about. It's the standard Jim Beam Mashville 75 13 12, comes in at 90 proof. Again, 7-year age stated for $25.
We got off track as we tend to do. I said when they changed this from Jim Beam Black, which, by the way, if you see Jim Beam Black, not the 7-year age stated, you should buy that too. I think it's a perfectly fine sip. Okay, not as good as this, but Jim Beam did 3 things, all of them good. First of all, they age stated it. Second of all, they upped the proof from like 86 to 90. Really good idea. And the third thing, and perhaps the most important thing they did, is they kept the price low. $25 MSRP, can't beat it with a stick. Oh my gosh, so exciting. So exciting. Well, we need to turn the corner. We're out of the Jim Beam land. Boy, are we Jim Beam fans.
We are Jim Beam fans.
Holy
There's
cow.
no doubt about it. We are also Jack Daniels fanboys.
Every now and then, you'll hear a question. And it is Jim Beam bourbon. And the answer
is Jack Daniels.
Just Jack Daniels bourbon, yes. And the answer is yes. Jack Daniels breaks none of the rules for bourbon. What Jack Daniels does do, though, however, is what makes it Tennessee whiskey. Based in Lynchburg, Tennessee, Jack Daniels sends all of their whiskey through what is called the Lincoln County process, where they take maple skids, douse them in whiskey, set them on fire, and then drain the whiskey through the charcoal. There are a lot of rules with bourbon. A lot of them say that you can't add anything to the bourbon. That's a good rule. We don't want any artificial colors or flavors in our beautiful, beautiful whiskey of America. Okay? But there are no rules that you can't take things out of the bourbon. Much like a Brita filter would, if we get into the nerddom of it, some flavors might come out of the process, but it does sort of mellow the whiskey, takes out some of those congeners, makes it a smoother sip. One of the things that I like about this so much.
This is actually what's in my glass right now. And it's just
almost maple syrup.
Yeah, it's a sweet profile. There's a good bit of rye spice that's coming through on this. It's not particularly high rye.
No,
but
a lot of the Tennessee whiskey is very, very low rye. This comes in at 80% corn, 8% rye, 12% malted barley. Bottled at 100 proof since it's portrait bonded. Only 4 years old, so not a lot of oak on this, but I'm not sure they wanted there to be a lot of oak on this.
Get a lot of well-rounded flavors. It's just an easy sipping whiskey, and you're getting 100 proof, which is nice.
That's not a bad.
If you're not a proof hound,
right? Again, we got 90 proof offerings on the table because Jim Beam Black is 7 years, 90 proof. Jack Daniels bonded as bonded whiskey has to be at least 4 years old. That is what the research says. It's not age stated, but what the research says is the age of Jack Daniels bonded. And for $30 MSRP. In Pennsylvania, I think we pay about 35,
35-ish.
but still easy to drink. Jack Daniel's owned by another mega beverage corporation called Brown-Forman. Excellent
We're going to segue to another Brown-Forman product, Old Forester 100. I think, if I recall correctly, there were 6 distilleries during Prohibition that were able to continuously distill under medical licensure. When Prohibition hit, a physician could write you a prescription for whiskey.
There were lots of sick people.
There were a lot of sick
from the 20s into the 30s. Lots of people. Lots of people.
And Old Forester was one of them. Also, the first distillery to actually put bourbon in bottles. Some interesting history. This is classic Old Forester juice. 72, 18, 10, coming in at 100 proof, about 4 years old. This just gives me all those malty, roasted flavors.
Malty is a great note for that bourbon. That's really what it provides. It's just malty goodness. If you're into like chocolate milk, there's almost a chocolate note.
There is a bit of a chocolate
because of those chocolate malted milk balls. If you're into milk duds or things like that, a lot of those notes out of Old Forester 100. I'm not as big an Old Forester fanboy as Troy, but it is one of the best tours you can take in Louisville, Kentucky. Right on Whiskey Row. One of the things that's interesting to me is that Old Forester sells so much bourbon. They make their barrels in-house. They do not outsource that. They make them at the distillery because they need so many that they just make them there. They just hire coopers, people who make bourbon barrels. Also an interesting name for a dog, but that's really neither here nor there.
Lots of good sweet notes coming through on this. Brown sugar, caramel, all of those great flavors with just enough of those roasted notes that we were talking about earlier. This is a heck of a pickup. $30 MSRP.
I think it might even be less expensive.
It might be 28. And in Pennsylvania, one of the things we can't get from time to time is coupons. So I think I picked this bottle up for a little less than $25, which is a steal.
Right, yeah. No,
and we could not do a Daily Sippers video without talking about
some turkey.
Wild Turkey 101.
This is what's in my Glen can here. So we'll do this in real time. What's on the classic Wild Turkey nose, Troy? What do you get?
The funk.
You get the Wild Turkey funk. If you've ever been in like an old basement where it's a little dark and a little dank and a little mildewy,
a historic bookstore,
right? Something like that, a little musty, right? If you go too far with that, and we've had bourbons that we did not care for that went too far with that, it almost tasted spoiled, mildewy and moldy and things like that. With Wild Turkey, it's so well balanced. It's so well balanced. What it really tastes like is rickhouse. That's what the smell is.
Correct.
If you've ever been in a rickhouse where they age bourbon, the barrels are there, that's what the smell is.
Oaky, yeasty, unctuousness.
Yep. It's so good.
A lot of people on Wild Turkey 101 get the baking spice, and it's very prevalent. Cinnamon, clove, nutmeg.
I got a big cinnamon burst on my first sip of 101 here. That's what's in my... This is a fresh crack. Again, subtext of this video is Trent needed to go shopping for staples. Again, not eggs and milk, because that's stupid. This is what I needed. Staples. Wild Turkey 101, Four Roses, and OTD 114. We were fortunate enough to be Wild Turkey just this past fall.
Yeah, we were.
It's so pretty there. Everyone should go to Louisville, Kentucky, just to visit these, even if you don't have a tour. We didn't have a tour of Wild Turkey. We didn't book one. But it's still fun to be there. Rumor has it that there's something like a 1 in 4, maybe a little less than that, chance that Jimmy Russell himself will be at the bar. Because he just sits there, gets a pour, and signs bottles. Sadly, that did not happen.
That didn't. And Jimmy's drinking Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Jimmy Russell has been known to say that if Wild Turkey could make one bourbon, it would be Wild Turkey 101.
Right, that's what he would make.
And we're going to do a video on something really special that we picked up there. The Wild Turkey 70th anniversary.
Well, that's an 8-year product. Wild Turkey 101 locks in at, and again, another legacy distributor, so I'm sure the batches are just amazing. It's probably 1,000 barrels, but clocks in at a course 101 proof, 6 to 8 years. Don't believe the hype. There was a bit of a hype. Now I think this predates us a little bit, predates our drinking years a little bit, in that got a little bit of a reputation as sort of a biker bourbon. Don't believe the hype. Go buy Wild Turkey, not that 81 proof crap. You be a man, even if you're a woman, and get some Wild Turkey 101. 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley, $25 MSRP. I think it was 27. Oh wait, it was on sale.
Yeah.
It's on sale this month. So I did pay $25 for it.
Wild Turkey 101 is my go-to old-fashioned bourbon. If I'm making an old-fashioned, you're probably getting Wild Turkey 101. I love the spice notes that come through on an old-fashioned. It's just delicious.
I think it's fair to say, as we've mentioned, I'm probably a little bit more of a Four Roses snob than Troy. He's probably a little bit more of an Old Forester snob than I am. We're both Beam snobs, and boy, oh boy, are we both Wild Turkey fans. Can't get enough. There's nothing we like to talk more than turkey. Appropriately, also good at Thanksgiving, right? For the obvious reason. Everybody on the bourbon, panels make those jokes, right?
I know.
And you expect more from Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds, so of course we make those jokes too.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely.
We're
I
not
think
proud.
That's all we have for you today.
It's very
The Daily Sipper category is immense.
We could have put 12 more bourbons.
Easily. So I think it's about finding what you like.
Right.
And sometime I'm in the mood for Knob Creek 9, and sometimes I reach for Old Forester, and sometimes I want a little more proof and go for the OGD 114.
Right. It all depends on what you like. Again, as we like to say here, please hit that notifications bell so you don't miss a Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds episode. If you want to get in touch with us, email us bbwn@gmail.com. Let us know if you need anything. Please drink safely, drink responsibly. Find yourself a daily sipper. Try different things. Most important thing you can do as a new whiskey drinker is to pick up something you haven't had before that's inexpensive. If you don't like it, you can waste a lot of money on it. Doesn't matter. Until you know what you like, you have to try lots of different things and stick to the legacy distillers because there are no better deals in bourbon.
Absolutely. I think that's all we have for you guys today. We appreciate it. Again, like, subscribe, share, drink what you like, and like what you drink. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, folks.